Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Gemini April 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James, clairvoyant. Well, we have an interesting deck for you this month. It's called the heightened deck. I think it's been around for over 30 years or so. But in any event, I think that the reading that I provide you with it will give you a unique perspective on the energies and influences surrounding you in this month. And this will help you to navigate the month with insight and with awareness. Now, normally I use a lot of astrology and numerology, but this deck also has Chinese I Ching, it has biblical Hebrew letters, and it also has the Viking runes from the Elder Futhark alphabet, which for me also are windows into energy that's circulating with you. Now, of course, this isn't a predictor of a fixed future at all, but these cards act as lenses, and the elements of the card, they act as prisms, as lenses that reflect the energies at play, and they will provide you with guidance and with some deeper understanding of the path that you are on. Now, we're only going to take 5 cards. Oh, by the way, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype over the course of the last month. And if you might be interested to see what's involved in a clairvoyant reading with me, just check out the information that's in the description at the end of the video. Now, separately, I've also done a number of healings over FaceTime and Skype as well for people from all around the world. And the spiritual gifts of clairvoyance and healing were provided to me at birth. The spiritual gift of healing was provided on the condition that two things. Number one, I am to use it for people who ask. And secondly, that I am to get nothing in return for it. So it is free. It is without obligation. You won't be recommended to have a reading. Nothing will be sold or recommended to you by me or from anybody else either. So if you would like to take advantage of that, and it could be for heartache or grief or other emotional issues, it could also be physical things, then reach out. I mean, I am to use it, and I'm very happy to do so. Information about that is in the description. Now let's take 5 cards for you, shall we, and see what there is in store for you this month. And the first is the 5 of Stones, which has a Chinese I Ching in it, which I'll get to in just a moment. There is the 2 of Wands, also with a Chinese I Ching. This is the 9 of Swords, incidentally, and that has a Chinese I Ching in it. Another Chinese I Ching here. You might have to move country, I think. That's the 7 of Wands, as it would otherwise be called. And finally, there is the 6 of Cups, which also has Chinese I Ching. Well, you might be changing country, if not diet. So why don't you come sit down here next to me? I'll bring the camera around. You and I can have a good close look at the imagery which is on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Very interesting spread. Now, I wouldn't pay any attention really to the titles that are on these cards. I don't know why developers put titles on them. They do mean different things in different spreads, depending on position, the interaction of the elements with each other, and also the astrology that's concerned. Now, you have all hexagrams which are collected in a thing called the Book of Changes, which collects all these I Ching hexagrams. Let's look at this first one here, and look at the picture, and then we'll get into it, shall we? Now, here we have the image of dead or dying trees standing in front of or behind a pool of stagnant water. The stones themselves, they float around in the air with no particular purpose or direction, it seems. Now, the red spot that's on them, it might refer to a wound, or I think actually your life energy coming back into force. And this looks like a white feather that's coming through here from some bird. a winter bird. That speaks of the joy of winter and also of a change, a good change coming your way. Now, the lines on these hexagrams, the broken lines refer to the yin or receptive principle. The unbroken line refer to the yang or active principle. Now, they can be read either singly, in couplets, 3 at a time, or 6 at a time, and that's what I do. I read them 6 at a time. And if I look through that hexagram there, I get the feeling here of splitting apart. That is, that things are not the way they seem. And reality for you might appear to be a hall of mirrors. Intrigues are multiplying like summer flies. And there are rumors of discontent around. Generally, there's a feeling around here, a background of illusion, of distrust, maybe even deception. You uncovering secrets, perhaps. Now, when you find yourself trapped in a hall of mirrors, well, it really becomes necessary to retrace your steps, go back to the things that are familiar to you, and take peace from what is firm and secure. Now, there's no blame in holding back. Actually, it is your responsibility to keep your strength intact for the period of revival that is now going to follow, as surely as dawn follows the night. Now, you will have heard the expression that discretion is the better part of valor, and good timing is critical at the moment. So learn to choose the proper moments for action, and that will avoid you running into a dead end. And pay close attention to changeals, signifying that it's time to make a strategic retreat in some area or other. There's no shame in retreat. That's a tactical thing. What is important for you is the strategy of winning the war. Now, I guess that in the realm of personal relationships, discovering illusion can be painful, and it's very often confusing, isn't it? And during such a time, well, it's really not a good idea to set in motion bold new moves. It's equally important not to jump to conclusions when you sense that nothing is quite as it seems until you uncover the facts. Now, the astrology of this is interesting because it's Mercury, that flighty intellectual planet of Mercury, your planet, sitting here in the first decan of Taurus. And the speed and fluidity of Mercury can get weighed down by the slow, heavy, fixed sign of Earth being Taurus. So it might be that you're thinking that sorting out communications looks to be impossible, and therefore some things might appear to you to be hopeless. It could be that relationships are threatening to break apart, or that you are condemned to just stand by and look while everything around you falls apart. But this is not happening for you, you know. I think what's happening is that your energy is blocked. Your thoughts keep revolving around finding a solution, a way out of something, or a breakthrough. And this situation touches the depths of your subconscious. It goes right through you. But your inner wisdom is telling you to do something about it. See, the problem in this situation is that you just stand still and do nothing, while at the same time tormenting yourself with entangled thoughts. And actually, I'm looking at a card, and we'll get to that next, because that's really sort of on the same theme. But look, I'll say this way, though. I think there's something that's been going on for some time, and you haven't dealt with it. You could be saying to yourself, am I getting myself into a situation that I might not be able to get out of? Will events overwhelm me? These are worries. Well, worries about the past and the future, neither of which can we do anything about. Now, this speaks to me of a state of consciousness that is always taking you back into the past or forward into the future, but not about handling the present. But because this card has come up, and first, it says that you are ready to look at your situation as it is, because you now have the opportunity to free yourself by taking the necessary discussion, either with partners or with yourself. And only clear and open communication is going to enable progress. Now, in what areas or situations are you not clear and decisive enough? And with which people do you need to clarify things? Nevertheless, things are coming along well for you, so say this to yourself. I am ready to look at my life as it is and to trust in the process of resolving my fears. I am straightening out my life. Now we'll go to that next card that I said we would, and it is this. And here we have some sort of a fantasy bird that seems to be impaled by a number of swords. Now it speaks of cruelty. Now, as I say, the titles are very misleading, but let me address it in this way. First of all, let me have a look at this hexagram here. This to me means conflict, looking through it. Now, conflict often arises when you have a person who is convinced that she is entitled to something, and then that person meets with opposition. Now, in such cases, the wise choice is not to push things to the bitter end, because the knocking of heads together with one or more other people, well, that's just going to generate ill will. Rather, creative solutions that meet others halfway are more valuable and longer lasting than those victories that you might force upon people. Now, conflicts in which one party is not sincere inevitably lead to undermining and distortions. And in those situations, if you have a good character, keep a clear head, protect your integrity, and look out for your own interests, even while seeking compromise. Maybe it might help to get a third person to come in, but certainly in times of conflict and turmoil, new ventures and new initiatives, they should be avoided just at the moment. Instead, examine the sincerity of your current beliefs and the beliefs of those around you. Consider everything carefully before making any major decisions, and also consider the option of compromise, and clarify the roles and the responsibilities of those people with whom you live and work to reduce conflict in the future. Now, one of the reasons why I'm getting this idea of conflict around here, apart from looking through this hexagram here, is because this is Mars ruling the second decan of Gemini, which is the 1st to the 11th of June. Look, the one-pointed nature of Mars just does not sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. And I don't mean any disrespect when it comes to that. And here is the number 9. And 9 represents cycles and returns in numerology, among other things. And there is a loop here. And in the suit of swords, which is mental, there can be a negative thought loop. Rumination can come about. So what I'm concerned about is that you might be punishing yourself or having a passive resistance to something. You know, the clarity that might have been on in your life has disintegrated into a pile of rubble, or so it seems to you. This actually does speak of I see the word cruelty, but a cruelty directed at yourself. Now, it can also refer to destructive accusations in the past made by parents or teachers in your childhood that continue with a harshness that affects you. But the thing is, now you yourself, you kind of become the role of the accuser. And this can happen in the form of an internal debate that you are having within yourself. So much so that you are afraid to make a definite choice. And then what happens is you then blame yourself for your indecisiveness. Or if you had made a choice about something that maybe didn't work out, you then torture yourself with a bad conscience, saying that I chose wrong, which is a bad word. I suppose that the examples could well be endless, about these bad thoughts that come, and particularly at night. Or you might find when you actually get into the shower, you start thinking about things that have gone on in the past. And you then come about thinking that you are a victim of circumstances. And maybe even you could, at times, find a bit of satisfaction in this role. This does point to the tendency to put yourself down cruelly, so you'll have to recognize and fully see this behavior pattern before you'll be able to overcome it. Now, who judged you earlier? How do you now condemn yourself? Are you now ready to forgive parents, others, and yourself? Now, there is a way of dealing with thoughts when they come, because you feel like you are lying down on the floor and these thoughts just come in like hand grenades and land on top of you from above. You need to raise yourself up, and each time a negative thought comes your way and tortures you, you go from being the victim or the passive recipient of it and move up and identify the thought and ask it two questions. The first one is, what value are you bringing to my life? The second question is, how are you behaving? And when you confront these thoughts and say, what value are you bringing to my life and how are you behaving, they can't justify themselves to you. And you'll find that over a period, and it's not going to be a day, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks when these thoughts come up, because when you conquer one thought, another one will come up. But you will, by doing that, overcome. And so you should say to yourself, particularly now, I am loved simply because of the way that I am. Down here is the Seven of Wands. And here we have a number of swords which are pushing up from the rock. So they come from within the rock, which says to me, you now go and dig deep into yourself. You clear out your subconscious and you push forward and up into the light. And this ball that's floating around up there, I think, is the way of the mystic. Now here's this hexagram. When I look through this hexagram, I see here deliverance. There's a feeling of clarity and fresh opportunity that, like that which follows a thunderstorm or any time of extreme tension or obstacles. Now the storm, of course, has the effect of clearing the air and suddenly reducing the atmospheric tension, doesn't it? Now I think that this symbolizes that some kind of deliverance for you is at hand. Now in the wake of a storm on land, deliverance can appear in the form of new color and life, which bursts forth in fields of flowers, and following a storm at sea, deliverance could take the form of land itself. Look at this rock here. Now in your world of your relationships, the rain of forgiveness can wash the human landscape clean. After a conflicted period of almost error and fighting with someone, great clarity of purpose and renewed vigor will follow the healing of your old wounds, but care must be taken to avoid accidentally reopening these wounds by moving too quickly is what I get. And similarly, it's important to return to a period of where things are normal before moving ahead with new plans or projects after periods of stress. Now we saw that somewhere else, I think. Now, I think that you will resolve a difficult situation, and following the resolution of that difficult situation, your first priority is to return to normal conditions as quickly as possible. Now, breathe a sigh of relief, but don't relax completely. Now, it would be a mistake to reawaken the sleeping dogs of the immediate past before the new situation has sorted itself out. But look ahead and attend to the usual things around you that need taking care of, and don't hesitate doing that. Make a clean sweep of the past and move forward deliberately. Forgive, forget, and move on, and you will see your fortunes improve immeasurably. Yeah, I really get that feeling now that you will put drama behind you. You are going to press on admirably. Let's have a look at this, which is the Two of Wands. This looks to me like some old ruined church. And there's sort of a staircase here which goes on and up, which leads to spiritual ascent. And here are the crossed swords of power and peace, which are now coming to you. Now, this hexagram here, I get that as the containment of potential, really, to translate the Chinese of it. And this points to the command and the control of a great power that now is within you. A power that increases as it is wisely used. Like a river that has been dammed up, or a pot of boiling water with a lid clamped on. Holding and containing power produces enormous potential, doesn't it? Now, during normal times, the daily rituals and habits you keep, well, they keep your life ordered and serene, but in times of exceptional opportunity, the force of a personality that is powerful is required, and you have that now. I'll speak of your astrology in a second. Now let me just complete this hexagram, because I think that I see through here that focused attention is required to channel this potential and power to achieve your great success. Now, you know, you have considerable reserves of energy and support to draw upon. This is an excellent time to nurture creativity by collecting and organizing your best ideas and plans. Now, even large and difficult undertakings can be planned in a way which is going to bring about success, but in the light of those earlier cards, I wouldn't start anything revolutionary now. Wait till next month. And there is here also a hidden source of wealth that is within you as well, and it's going to serve you. Now, the astrology is particularly helpful for you, I think, also at this time, because this is Mars ruling the first decan of Aries, that 21st to the 30th of March. And I see that now what is coming in within you, you've overcome and going through that process of defeating negative thoughts, and they are being replaced with a warlike energy, the energy of the dynamic pioneer. And you will be setting about dominating or mastering a situation. Now, you might also be dominating another. Certainly you're not going to be satisfied with your lot, and you are focusing your intent. Well, Mars is the planet of vitality, energy, and assertion, and Aries is about exploration. And the Two, of course, is about balance. So I think what you might see here is the energy to move in new directions if you want, that's the Aries aspect, from a place of balance and harmony, which is Two, with the confidence and the aggression of Mars. Now, in a sense, you are now becoming overcome with boldness, with a fierceness, even a shamelessness, if I may say so. You'll be using your willpower to break through stagnant situations and remove long-standing blocks. And this is the time to act on instinct and what you believe to be right without overthinking the situation. And pay attention to centering. If you're in contact with your center, you are certain to master the situation, so trust your energy and don't go for any false compromises. Now, which talents, tasks and situations are a challenge for you? Say this to yourself, because it is true now. I find the strength I need now in my center to overcome and to succeed. Now, finally, and rather quickly, because I'm aware of your time, let's have a look at this. Here we have the ruins of an old temple. Again, here I'd say. Now this is a ball here which is tinged with red, and that speaks of your life energy and a desire to move forward. Now, this is the column of the temple. These 4 cups, I think, refer to law, and these 2, I think, refer to love. And there's a 5-pointed star up there. Well, that 5-pointed star, I think, refers to the goddess who bestows upon you her wisdom, power, and protection. Now, the hexagram that's there, I think the rough translation of that would be the joyful lake. Now, traditionally, joy was symbolized by a group of people or a carefree child singing to themselves while engaging in their chores or skipping and singing. Now, whatever the example, happiness is now rising from up within you and spreading out into the world. Joy comes into the world, of course, through gentle means, but it springs from a solid sense of self. The power of joy should not be underestimated. The enjoyment of learning and discovery, for example. Well, that served as the inspiration for all the progress that we see in the world. And if happiness is supported by stability, it will wear down the stiffest barrier and win over the hardest heart. Now, being so rare, joy, its presence here for you is an indication of good fortune now and into the future, and how could it be otherwise? Also, a great deal of lust, pleasure in sexual relationships, a rich exchange of sexual and heart energy, and emotional renewal. What a great spread of cards for you. Good job. I told you it was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, unless I see you privately for a reading or for a healing, then of course I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.